You came out with all this fire earlier, and now you're like,
I'm ready.
Are you though?
I am.
All right. Well, cool. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us on episode 2. I'm ready. I don't know about this guy.
I'm ready.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
The people upstairs are ready too.
Yeah, they're definitely fucking ready.
They've been ready for the last 3 hours.
Yeah, they are co-signing this episode fully.
It's sponsored by Room 413.
Sponsored by people with metal shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, other than that, how you doing today, man?
I'm good.
Yeah?
I'm good.
Yeah?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. I gotta go to work later, so we'll see how I'm feeling later. But I'm good for now. I got my whiskey. I'm ready to talk about something. What are we talking about this week?
Actually, you just inspired a thought.
Mm-hmm.
How
I am inspirational.
Yeah, you are. How do you get ready for your workday? To go in, or actually, let me articulate this question to not just be so one-sided. When you work behind the bar and you bartend, day in, day out, or night in, night out, you kind of have to for some places put on a performance, other places not so much. So how do you say you're having a bad day? How do you go in and just be like, "Hey, guy, what can I get you today?"
Well, I would say first of all, it depends on which job I'm going to. That's important. That's the first and foremost.
That is important.
Because as of this recording, I still have 2 jobs, unfortunately, because I really thought that my last day at the other job was last week, but apparently I got one more last day in me. So going to that job, especially since I don't really care for it, the people there are great, so it makes it easier to go in because I know I'm going to be working with good people, and their energy is great, and I kind of feed off of them. But the bar itself, the environment there is not the best. So it takes a lot mentally to go into that job. It really does.
Do you just have to fight the urge to not get hammered before you go in?
Well, I never get hammered before I go in.
But you know what I mean.
I learned that lesson a long, long time ago. Never go in hammered. You just ruin your whole start to your shift. With that one, I tend to enjoy the walk into work a little bit, try to find the right music to get me in the right frame of mind or something, and just try to block out that I'm going into that place. Now, my other job, which is one of my favorite, if not my favorite bartending job I've had so far, I can't say it's definitely the favorite because I've only been there a few months, but that one's easy to go into. Even if I'm not in the mood to work, I'm always in the mood to work there because it has great people just like the other one does, but it also has a great bar working environment. The guests are great, the music's good. It's just a more chill and like happier time in that particular bar. Mm-hmm. So no matter what my mood is when I'm going into work there, I'm always good.
Okay.
Yeah. How about you?
I throw on my AirPods and depending whatever setup I have to do, what role they have me working that day, just either listen to my friend's podcast or listen to music, and then I like Jedi mind trick myself into like, no, you're gonna have a great day. Yeah, you're happy to be here.
Yeah, especially at that job.
Yeah.
I
don't want to. Yeah, it's. I don't want to say I have to do too many, mental or no. I just listen to music and just get myself prepped for it.
Yeah.
Listen to music to hype myself up, and then once it's open, it's like, all right, cool. But the music they played in the beginning really sucks because it's literally the same 12 songs for the first 2-3 hours before like the evening time comes and the music shifts into more of like the night crowd even without the DJ. So it's just, I don't know. I guess it's supposed to be dining music, but it's just it's the same 12 songs.
Yeah, I remember
in the exact same order.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it kills the mood that whatever I built up, and it's like, okay, whatever. Yeah. It's just, let me go find one of my favorite coworkers and talk to them for the first hour that we're not busy.
Yeah.
So.
I will say though, like with places like that, because I don't want to speak about your place of employment directly. I think that they cultivate the music that way by trying to play the songs that they really think people are going to respond to when they first walk in. Because although you're there for the first 2 hours and hear the same songs, everyone who's coming in within those 2 hours is not. But it was funny when I would hear the guest say, like, didn't I just hear the song like a half an hour ago? It's like, yeah, you did. But it's also like the 8th time I've heard it today. So imagine being me. That would be difficult. I'd say that it's always difficult to go into a job where like the ambiance isn't right, like the vibe isn't right. Like no matter how many good coworkers you have, like how many good relationships you have with them, it's still tough to put in those hours and then to deal with everything you have to deal with.
You know what's tough is when a guest comes in and you vibe with them and they're like, hey, let me get you a shot too, and you're like, I can't.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate that. Not that it's like, oh yeah, man, I need a drink. It's just one of those things where you have that connection, you establish some kind of bond with that person for that hour that they're there, and they like you enough that you may not ring in your shot, but they're like, hey, let me buy you one. You know, it's just that.
Always ring in your shots.
Always ring in your shots.
I know what you mean. I mean, so like for me, you know, whether it be, you know, the bar I'm at now or one of the bars I've been at before that allow that, you know, then it's always them trusting you that you're not taking full shots first and foremost, because you're not trying to get hammered. You still got to work, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're trusting you, like, oh, you're going to take baby shots or you're going to take a sip of a shot, but it's more like bonding, like you said, bonding with the guests, because they're like, man, you're cool. Especially, I don't want to speak for you, but I know for me, when I'm behind the bar, I'm trying to provide a full experience. I'm trying to be that guest's best friend, even though they may not know me. And it's even more so when they do know me and they come in, especially if they're a regular or something, like they want to be able to take some kind of a shot with you because they're coming there to hang out with you. And then when it's like, oh man, I can't have anything with you, they kind of feel let down. They're like, come on, man, you know, like.
That's the one thing that I don't have over there is regulars.
Yeah.
At least none that have really made a lasting impact. So there's not really a regular that I've really met. Maybe some that come in once every other 2 months or some shit like that. But I miss that. I miss having those regulars come in. They're like, yo, what's up? Yo, here's your drink right there.
Yeah.
Like when we go across the street, they know what our orders are right away. Like 805.
Yeah. There's
the money. Boom.
Yeah, there's a bar I go to, and as soon as I walk in, they literally just like give me eye contact, and they're already holding the glasses up to make my beer, you know, and they know exactly what my order is going to be as soon as they see me walk in. And there's just something about that Cheers vibe of, hey, you're not only do you remember me, but you're actually happy to see me walk in. Because if you weren't happy to see me walk in, you'd make me ask for that drink, even though you know I drink the same thing. So it's like, there's also that bonding element too of like, oh man, it's you. Let me cut this short as far as like wasting time asking you what you want. I know what you want.
Yeah.
Now I can just talk to you about, hey man, how's your shifts? How are things over there? And then we can go back and forth. Like it's an added element, but
I miss having regulars.
Yeah.
And I just thought of something else. I've tried to understand and tried to see it from the other side. The last place I worked at didn't really allow for the bartenders, barbacks to take shots either, but it wasn't really strictly enforced. It's kind of like, oh, well, if you're going to do it, don't let management see it.
Right.
Whatever, they're not going to check the cameras.
Yeah.
But it's, I guess, because it's like tacky or unprofessional or some shit like that. It's like, dude, it's a bar.
Yeah.
What I fail to see what they mean by like, oh, bartenders taking shots with the guests isn't like classy or whatever. Yeah. It's like it's a fucking bar.
It's part of, I don't know.
I think it's an upscale restaurant thing, but even then,
it's not even an upscale thing, because there have been some other bars I've worked at that are not upscale, and they have the exact same rules and everything like that.
I don't get it.
I personally feel, because I mean, I've been in it so long and seen so many people mess it up for everybody. I always think of that phrase, like, this is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah, there are people that mess it up for everybody, and I can get that part.
Yeah.
But if you got the bartenders, you know, that...
Yeah.
I that part I don't understand.
It's a fine line. It's definitely a fine line, because I know one of my favorite bars to go to that does allow for their bartenders to take a shot with you. I go in there and, you know, I'll have a shot with them and everything will be cool. But certain people, when I go in there and I see them behind the bar, I'm like, oh man, I know they're already wasted by the time I get here. So I don't even want to take a shot with them, because you're going to already see the deterioration of, you know, that skill level. Like, now they're buzzed or messed up behind the bar. They're not taking care of their guests correctly. Like, you know me, I always try to play devil's advocate a little bit. Mm-hmm. I try to see both sides. So I can definitely understand from a managerial standpoint how you want to keep things tight, you know. But I with you, I don't agree with calling it non-classy and all this other stuff. Like, yeah, it is a bar, but if you have people that you can't trust behind your bar, why do you have them there? Is the other thing. Like, if I can't trust you, but I can trust my other 3-4 bartenders and 3-4 servers, why do I keep scheduling you? Like that's just my point of reference, you know.
I guess I was speaking more so from the aesthetic standpoint, and not so much to like, oh, they're gonna get wasted. More of like, well, it doesn't look professional, but then again, they're sitting at a bar.
Yeah.
And you kind of, there's that blurred line of, you know, this isn't an office.
Yeah.
You're not drinking with the office coworkers or anything like that. You're sitting at a bar, or sitting at the bar at a restaurant or whatever it is. Like, those rules I kind of don't apply when it comes to being classy or professional.
Yeah, but you know, it also depends on the clientele of that place. Like, some people are just stuffy and don't like seeing their bartender drink. You're there to serve me drinks. You're not there to have fun with me. Yeah, like, as I said before, it's that fine line, man.
It's not the place that I...
That's not a place we would work.
Yeah, it's not the place.
That's not a place we would work. I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. But speaking of, like, the different things that you view as the bartender, like, what are some of the things that you enjoy during a shift, since you can't take shots? Like, what are some of the funny things? Like, maybe like you see funny dates or something like that, or
you just
funny
stole my
interactions.
segue. You stole my segue.
Oh well,
yeah.
I was just trying.
I was getting to it.
Yeah.
And now I'm kind of upset that you just Oh
well, we can rewind this.
You spun it as like your topic when I had it in mind.
Hey man, I'm here
I
for
don't appreciate
you.
That.
I'm like giving you the assist. Like, I've never seen someone be upset about an alley oop. Like, hey, here, I gave you the alley. You were just supposed to oop it.
I had it, goddamn it! I had it.
You were just supposed to oop it.
Yeah.
I know you can dunk, but let me get a little thing on the stat sheet.
You want
too.
the assist? All right, I'll give you the assist. Yeah, one of my favorite things to see is first dates. First dates, and this is me just being an asshole, but I like seeing first dates that are awkward or that just aren't going well, especially for the guy. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm a little bit of a hater.
Yeah. Well, judging by the way you reacted to me setting you up, yeah, I would say you do sip a little hater.
Yeah, just a little bit. It's like, well, you got this beautiful person here, and you look like casual as shit.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Not you, but the dude sitting there. It's like, you look so fucking boring. Why are you sitting here with this beautiful woman? Like, nah.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's going wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like seeing first dates, but I also do like seeing when they go really well, when the people obviously connect. I saw at my last job, clearly it was a first date because they were talking. You can always tell by first dates by the way the conversation goes. Like, oh, what do you work? This and that. It's like, oh, you guys just met here from Tinder or wherever the hell it is you found each other. And I could tell that the day was going really, really well because they had been sitting there for 30 minutes and didn't even order a drink. They were just talking.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, this date's going great.
Yeah.
Because I went by them twice to ask them if they wanted something. They're like, oh, okay, we still got to look at the menu.
Yeah.
And then the second time, like, oh, we're still looking. I'm like, okay, hey, you let me know when you want to drink. I'm not going to interrupt anymore.
Let me get out of your way.
Yeah, and it wasn't until damn near almost 40 minutes later before they actually ordered a drink and then some appetizers and shit. But I think an hour and a half later into that date, the guy gets up to use the restroom. And me and the other bartender were, like, talking to her and basically trying to figure out, like, oh, like, how do you know him, this and that. And she's like, oh, from whatever it is, I forgot. She's like, yeah, he's really nice, you know, I think it's going pretty well, you know, blah, 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 all good things. And then he comes back, some time passes, she goes to use the bathroom, and he, like, looks to us, and he's like, so do you think this is going well? And we're like, yeah, she's totally into you. You guys took 40 minutes to order a drink. I think you're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
So he was, like, all smiles or whatever, and make a long story short, like, they left all happy and shit, and it was great. So you see good first dates like that, it's like, oh yeah, you know, you guys were cool people. And then you have those absolute douchebags who just shouldn't be winning, but they have been winning their whole lives. So when you see them take an L, it's like really gratifying. There was this couple that came in, again, beautiful girl, average looking dude, and they're chatting, whatever, they're talking, having their dinner, and it seemed like she was only there because she had nothing else to do, and he was offering to take her out, and she was like, okay. First off, there was a bit of a language barrier. She spoke, you know, mainly Spanish, but she could speak English, so broken English, but whatever. And so
Do you think maybe she knew better English than she let him believe, as a way of, like, sabotaging the date as well? Like, maybe she understood a lot more. That was
I think she definitely understood just as well and everything. But when he started, not when he started to, but when he was like, oh well, she speaks more Spanish than anything, his tone of voice changed. It was like, it's like he was trying to speak slower.
So it was more demeaning.
Yeah, at least to me, that's the way it came off. Because the way he was talking, instead of how we're talking normally, he would be like, so, yeah, I work for blah, 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 and I, you know, this and this. And like, he was speaking almost to a child. And in my head, I'm like, dude, she's not stupid. You just, you know, she understands what you're saying. You know, you don't have to talk so slowly. If she doesn't know, she'll say what or whatever. It was just weird. And right off of that, I'm like, that's not how you should talk to somebody. Anyways, so I asked for their order and shit, and she asked me if I speak Spanish. I was like, yeah, you know, enough. And then her face, like, lit up. It's just something when predominantly Spanish speakers are getting serviced by somebody that speaks Spanish, they just their mood shifts. So she was immediately like, oh, I like you, whatever. And his face, he just had this sour look on his face, like, for people who can't see, it's just he went from, like, a nice smirk to just like, oh, fuck this guy. Fuck this guy. He's gonna try to take my girl. I'm like, dude, I'm just bartending.
Not trying.
I'm not
trying. It just happened.
But he spent most of the date talking about himself. He was flexing. And he didn't need to, because you already got the date. She obviously must like you to some degree to go out with you,
or at least tolerate you.
And he's just bragging about, like, the businesses he owns, the private jets he goes on, this and that, and what he's gonna do for his birthday. And throughout the date, he kept saying, "Oh, you should come with me to this, come with me to that." And she was just politely kind of being like, "Yeah, okay," but not really. And again, he said one thing. He's like, "Yeah, I'm surprised you texted me back. You know, usually you're like either asleep or whatever." And I forgot what she said, but that line right there let me know that she isn't interested in him at all. She only went out because she had nothing else to do.
See, the way I'm hearing this story, or at least, you know, how I'm reading into it, is that it sounds like they're from two different worlds, obviously, because of the language barrier, but also two different worlds as far as the things that they find important, their priorities. Sounds like he's used to dealing with beautiful women that only care about how much money he has and what he does and what he can do for them.
Yeah,
he has no
Chad.
personality outside of that.
No, he didn't. Yeah. His personality was, look how successful I am.
Right.
That was.
Right.
He didn't seem that interesting. Maybe he had a couple things to talk about, maybe a couple stories, but his personality trait was, I'm successful, right. So you should fuck me.
But that could also be why she's said no, or whatever the amount of times that she has, because she's probably already seen all those things in him. And then maybe he got to a point where he was able to convince her that, you know, she was wrong and he's a little different, or I don't know. But that's what I hear by hearing that story, is just like, you know, he wanted her because she was attractive, and she just had nothing better to do, or ran out of excuses of saying no. It was like, well, at least I'll go out on one date, and it goes badly, I have a better chance of never hearing from him again. You know, because sometimes some guys, especially for him to be as successful as he claims to be, he's probably used to being very persistent in getting what he wants, just from not having the ability to take no for an answer.
Yeah, he was telling her that they were taking a private jet to Miami to go party on a yacht for his birthday. So
yeah, which she probably doesn't even care about.
She doesn't. Yeah. She struck me as a very genuine person. She was from Colombia, I think. So humble beginnings and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So she struck me as just somebody who became successful on her own and had like core values where shit like that didn't really matter. Maybe it would make you stand out a little bit, but the times like her and I would exchange words, it seemed like she was more interested in talking to me, and right. I'm just like, I don't want this to affect my money, so I'm gonna like.
That's always the oddest place to be when you're behind the bar, because
then you got your other bartenders next to you. You don't want to fuck up their money,
right?
But could have easily gotten her information, you know, if I had wanted to, because
I've definitely been there a lot of times where, well, not a lot, like not as much as you, but I've had times where that has happened. Where
no, you had a lot.
No.
Don't throw me under the bus.
I ain't throwing you under the bus. I'm saying you're the one driving the bus. I'm just in the back. I have seen it a few times, either be with me or another bartender, where you know, they don't want to fuck up anyone's money, but at the same time, it's like, well, we're there to provide like an experience and everything like that, and to make sure someone has a good time. Plus, you know, if you're having a vibe with someone that's on a bad date, you're like, well, hey, this is where I work. You could always come back. Or if you want to slide a number while someone's in the bathroom, you could do that as well.
But then when they don't go to the bathroom, it's like, well, I'm not going to do it right in front of his face.
Yeah. I've been there a couple times. I definitely have been there a couple times. I remember the last time I had something like that happen, the woman that came in, she came in first before the man showed up. And she came in just wearing jeans and a t-shirt, and she even said, she was like, I'm not here to impress him. I'm actually trying to do the opposite. You know, I'm not into this guy. He catfished me, this, and I'm just sitting there, you know, laughing about it. And I was like, I mean, I could see that she wasn't there to impress, but she was still impressive.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, hey, she's attractive. And we were having a good conversation before he got there. And then when he got there, I was like, she kept looking at me like, well, we were having a good conversation, but now I'm stuck talking to this guy. And I could hear him when
they looked to you to be their lifeline.
Right.
Like, yo, get me out of here.
Yeah.
Get me out of here.
She looked at me like, you know, hey, at least you can carry a conversation that's different than what this guy wants to talk about. Because you could hear, you know, you got bartender ears. You hear a lot of things, even though you're trying not to. And I could hear it was going terrible. And it got very accusatory on his end, where he was like, well, you're this and you're that, and you know, you're not willing to give a man a chance and all this other stuff. Like, he went that route because she didn't want him. And I was just looking at her like, man, I want to save you. And I would like try to chime in here and there to just kind of give them a segue out. But every time I would, he'd kind of look at me like, oh, so you listening to our conversation? I'm like, well, I can't help it. You're kind of being loud.
And you're right there in front of me.
And it's pretty sad. And he literally was directly in front of my well. So there was nowhere for me to go. He was literally in my workspace. So, yeah, I mean, dude, you sat there. You could have sat on the other side of her and been away from me, and I wouldn't have heard it. Or you could ask her to go sit at a table. You sat at the bar. So this is what you get. And then, you know, I tried to like get her number and everything too, and it didn't really go anywhere. So she just curved everybody that night.
Yeah.
But it happens. It definitely happens. But I was like, man, I don't want to fuck up my tip. And I can't remember if he actually tipped or not, to be perfectly honest. But I know when he left, he didn't say bye to me, the manager that said hi and bye to him when they first came in. He didn't even go to shake his hand.
Oh, another not to cut you off.
Oh yeah, that was pretty much
telltale signs is when the woman isn't finishing their drink. Because that reminded me, we went over there and that one girl wasn't finishing her drink. Yeah. That's what was happening with this date.
Or they finish their drink faster than he is.
Yeah.
Because that means, one, he's talking too much, and two, she's like, I gotta just drink to get through it.
This particular one, they were drinking espresso martinis, and they only had like, I think 2 rounds. Yeah. But it was getting close to like them going somewhere else, and he had already finished his, and hers was practically still full, and he was almost pressuring her to finish hers and drink hers. Right. And I'm just like, dude, she clearly doesn't want it. You know, and I don't know if she ended up finishing it or not, but she was talking about like how she wanted to go somewhere and go dancing, and to me it looked like he just wanted to get her drunk enough, or at least both of them get drunk enough where she's like, all right, fuck it.
Try to get her loosened up.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, that's just a crutch.
And
I hate seeing that.
And when she said she wanted to go dancing, his face kind of was like,
man, I can't dance.
I don't know how to dance. And I was internally laughing because I'm like, damn, bro, you fucking suck. Yeah. All this success and you can't even lock this one down. Yeah, man. Because women love dancing, and that could have been his. That could have been his redemption.
But I could also say that again just goes into, you need to pick your battles better. Just because you find someone physically attractive doesn't mean that you're compatible.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a really big issue with a lot of first dates, is that, you know, people meet, especially if they meet at a bar, or meet at a club or something like that, or mutual friends link them together. And it's like, oh, you're attractive. You know, so maybe we can like shoehorn this into, you know, something like, oh, I'm tired of sleeping by myself or eating dinner alone, you know, and they try to give it a shot when it's like, you don't have anything compatible with somebody. And I think that a lot of that has been lost in the last like 5 years or so. Like, there's not a lot of genuine connections. It's just, oh, well, you're here, so let's just give this a shot. And it's like, I commend her for knowing, well, both the stories we're talking about, I commend the women on saying, you know, hey, nah, I'm not interested. This isn't going to work.
And just because, like, their first stop, because they clearly had plans, so their first stop didn't work out too well. Maybe he got better at dancing. Yeah. Maybe not. I hope it didn't.
But I also want to say that I don't want it to seem like it's all on men either, because I've seen some bad dates where it was the opposite side.
Yeah.
Like, the guys came in, they were good guys, they were definitely trying, and then the women that they brought in were just like, or just being completely different from the guy. Like, say, I've seen guys come in and yeah, they have success, but they don't talk about that. Yeah, they have money, but they don't talk about that. They're trying to like genuinely get to know this person, and that person is just only interested in, well, what are we going to do later? Or you got to take me here, you got to take me there, you got to take me to get dinner here, and if you're not spending this amount of money, what's the point of me even going out with you? Like, I'm not saying that those things are wrong, because you want what you want. Yeah. It's just that if you're not compatible, just say that in the beginning and move on. And I will also bring us back to, because this isn't a relationship podcast, I will say the same thing happens a lot within the service industry.
Yeah.
Of people working at bars that they don't fit in. Bars and restaurants, you know, like people go to work somewhere because they hear the money's good or something like that, or they hear it's a good environment, and then they get there and they don't fit in, but they won't just leave. It's like, if you don't fit in that establishment, just get out.
Yeah, do yourself, do your coworkers a favor.
Exactly. Don't stay there and like bring the energy down, complaining about everything all the time, complaining about your managers, complaining about your shifts, complaining about the customers, complaining about this and that and this and that. And it's like, okay, well, if you don't want to work here, please go find another job.
Yeah.
I'm begging you, go find another job, because I don't want to work with you. I'm sorry. And nobody else does either. And we all know some people who are like that.
Yeah.
We've known plenty of people who are like that. We ain't gonna say no names, but they know who they are. Or maybe they don't.
They don't.
But we know the people who know who they are.
Yes.
So they're probably getting a good chuckle out of that, because I'm sure some of them have already started naming some names in their head right now. Like, oh, yep, such and such is like that.
It's that person. That's who they're talking about.
Yeah. So I give credit to people that are just like, you know what, man? This place ain't working for me. I might as well get out now.
Yeah.
Instead of bringing the morale and the energy down and just sucking the life out of a place. Just
get in where you fit in.
Exactly.
And some people don't get that.
Yeah.
That clue.
Or they try to manipulate situations and game the system to where they can make their money, and then they make it harder on their peers, like talking down to a guest about them and making it seem like, oh well, I'm gonna talk trash about this coworker or whatever so that you like me more and you tip me more or something like that. Or I don't know, like we all know the different ways that people can do it, so I don't want to just go off on a laundry list of things, but my point is, as I said, just if you don't like a place, leave. There are plenty of other places to go work at. Yeah. And you could also, if you're not good at the service industry, please get out.
Yeah, get out.
Please get out. Go find another job. Get a different skill. Go do something else.
But I definitely feel that the people that don't fit in at those bars, it's like, go work at a boring place with your boring self.
Yeah.
It's fine.
And if you're a neighborhood bartender, server, or something like that, then stay at a neighborhood bar or restaurant. Don't go to a fine dining place, but you're a neighborhood service industry professional, so to speak. And then try to take that energy there and then suck the energy out of there. And then if you're a fine dining place, don't go to a neighborhood bar and be like, well, when I worked over here, we did it this way and we did it that way.
Well, you're not over there, so shut the fuck up.
Why don't you work there anymore? Oh, because you probably couldn't cut it. So why don't you just shut the fuck up and do your job? So those are my tidbits for that. I feel like we brought it home on that end.
I felt like that was going to be a segue into egos.
Egos.
Bartender egos.
Ooh, my gosh. So I was it's called Art Behind the Glass on Sunday. And, it's basically like a bartender's ball. Mm-hmm. And I just saw all these different amazing bartenders. And then I also saw a few who, like, did not know what they were doing. I don't mean that in a negative way, but, like, they came in with the ego of, well, I'm this level and I do this, and the cocktail, because everyone had to come up with a cocktail for that thing that they were working, if you were working behind the bar. Mm-hmm. And some of the cocktails were just garbage, absolute garbage. And I just was like, what made you think you should bring this as your cocktail of the day to showcase your skill? To me, that's just ego. That's just saying, well, I know what tastes good. I'm just going to force people to drink this. And like, I saw some really bad ones, some really bad Jello shots. I saw some amazing Jello shots. And it was like, you should have just put your Jello shots back in the box and just not even serve those when you saw the other ones come out.
Yeah.
And there was one cocktail someone else handed me because they thought it was nasty. They took a sip. They was like, hey, here, you want this? And at that point, I hadn't had a drink yet because I had been volunteering. I'd been working. So I took one sip and I was like, oh, I don't want this either. Just threw it in the trash. I was like, wow, I don't want this at all. This is really bad. So, and then I also was hearing from people that I know and respect, and also know that they're very well respected because I saw the reception that they got from all these other bartenders that were there. And they were just like, oh, that person there, trash. That person there, trash. And some of them are like bartenders who are known on YouTube, known on Instagram.
That sucks.
And they have like a name,
that sucks.
Like people just love them. And this person was like, nah, man, they are terrible. All they are is a personality behind the bar. They are not a good bartender. It was like, oof.
That's got to be rough.
I mean, they're making money off of it.
When you're a good bartender, but not a good bartender.
Yeah, but we were also talking about some bartenders that are amazing at making cocktails, but they can't work a bar at all. Like, they can make your drink or they can talk to you, but they can't do both. They can't give you an experience. They can give you a great cocktail and they can tell you XYZ on where the spirit came from and how it came to be as far as the name and who distilled it and when and why and all this other shit. But they can't make you feel like you want to go back to their bar.
Yeah.
Because you're going to forget all that stuff that they told you while they're trying to sound like an expert.
Because they didn't make an impression on you. And a good business will pair that person up with somebody that can talk.
That's true. That's
you
true.
know, place that has a bar manager that knows their bartenders and their bar program.
Man.
Bar managers are very important. Very, very,
As
very important.
someone who has worked in several places that didn't have a bar manager at the time that I got there, I will wholeheartedly agree. Wholeheartedly.
I think some people don't realize that. No. Especially, I would say, maybe servers don't realize that. Other people in the restaurant don't realize that, just how important a bar manager is.
Yeah.
Because so many things can go, what's the word I'm looking for? So many things can get lost in translation between the bar and the rest of the restaurant, establishment, the rest of the staff. And bar managers are there to be like, no, this is the standard. This is how we do things. This is why. This is how you're supposed to bring it in. These are the reasons why I do this every time, because that's how it's supposed to be done. And that's how it makes everybody's job easier.
Yeah, a bar manager is there to enable and empower you to do your job to the best of your ability without having to think about it. If you establish those points of service, establish those different, not even just the points of service, but just those little details with how you're supposed to make your cocktails, how you're supposed to greet your guests, how you're supposed to, drop a check, when you're supposed to check on the guests, how you're supposed to upsell, what makes sense to upsell, what doesn't. All of those things that a good bar manager, they can make you feel empowered by having all of that information, to the point where when the guest comes in, you're just on autopilot. Like they come in and sit down, you're greeting them, ask them how they're doing, you have your whole spiel that you can deliver to them, and you're not even thinking about it. You're just like, well, this is the same as me just saying hi. And now we've already gotten past this point, and now I can just shine through with my personality, and hopefully we can mesh well as a bartender to guest, to the point where you enjoy being here. Okay, that's what's up.
Damn.
Somebody's got a dead body up there now.
Yeah.
But like we can connect on that level too. Well, yeah, I would like for you to give me a good tip, but I'd also like for you to come back.
Yeah. Because
someone can tip you 20% now and never come back because they didn't like you. They can spite tip you. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen it happen. And that person will never come back to your establishment. Or you can get the person who tips you 15 or 20% or whatever, but they come back 3, 4, 5 times a month. So you're going to get 20% 3, 4, 5 times a month from them. And you're going to have a great experience with them because they enjoy coming in to talk to you. Maybe you know about, their life, their family, their job, whatever. And you build like a bit of a bond with them. So then making that money off of them doesn't feel like you're manipulating anyone, and you don't feel like you're being shortchanged either.
Yeah.
Like that's the point where 20% is enough. And there's some people like that'll come in and you'll see them fucking 10 times a month and they'll only give you 10%. But 10% 10 times still adds up.
It does.
So, I would say, going back to ego, like take your ego out of the tip as well. Sometimes people they don't have the money, or they don't know how to tip, or maybe they forgot. Maybe they were drunk and weren't paying attention. There's like several different factors that can go in. So like try not to take it personal. Just do your job to the best of your ability every single time, and just hope that everything's going to work out. And as long as you have the right attitude and you're in the right place and you have the right support, I definitely believe that you're able to do that. And I see a lot of people that's lost on them.
Damn.
Yeah.
Bars.
Yeah.
Bars.
Bars about bars. Well, I mean, I feel like we've talked enough this week. We're almost at 40 minutes. So
okay.
we told a couple stories.
Yeah.
Talked about some dates. Maybe next time we'll talk about our bad dates, because I'm sure I've had so many more bad dates than you have. So, we'll save that. Yeah, because I've had some bad ones. I'm a terrible dater. And we will talk to you next time on The Industry Perspective. Peace.
Have a good night.